What do you know about Kawhi's issue, and was he dealing with this earlier than tonight?
Yeah, he's been dealing with it for a couple of days. Back spasms, and wasn't sure if he's going to go this.
For years, NBA fans have been left in the dark, trying to figure out what's been going on with Kawhi Leonard.
How great you are, and now the whole world does. You are the 2014 Bill Russell MVP.
A two-time NBA champion, Finals MVP, and one of the most dominant players of his generation, Kawhi's career has been nothing short of extraordinary. Yet, despite his talent, he's been plagued by injuries that have prevented him from ever truly hitting his stride. Now, after years of uncertainty, we're finally beginning to understand why Kawhi's health has been such a roller coaster. So, let's dive into the mystery behind his ongoing battle with injuries and uncover the truth that's recently come to light. Let's get started. Kawhi Leonard's former trainer has now filed a lawsuit against the Clippers, alleging the team put Leonard through unsafe and potentially illegal treatments. If this claim holds, it could explain his ongoing struggle with injuries. But what were these alleged treatments, and why were they considered dangerous? This situation brings to mind Isaiah Thomas's experience with the Celtics, where poor medical management drastically altered his career. Back in 2017, Thomas was one of the NBA's most electrifying offensive players. Yet, everything changed after he pushed through a hip injury during the playoffs.
Everybody hated Boston for what they did to me. The only thing that I think they handled wrong was not explaining to me what the extent of my injury could be.
To help Boston reach the Eastern Conference Finals. Thomas later hinted that the Celtics downplayed the severity of his injury, sharing, "The only thing they handled wrong was not explaining what the extent of the injury could be if he played." Despite his loyalty and resilience, the team traded him to Cleveland shortly afterward. In the years that followed, Thomas's career faded. Once an MVP candidate, he found himself struggling to stay on an NBA roster. Both Leonard and Thomas's stories underscore the high-stakes challenges players face, especially when a team's medical advice comes into question. How far should players go to stay on the court, and at what cost to their health and careers? The Clippers' alleged treatment of Kawhi raises a similar question. Were they so focused on winning that they compromised his health? Some say the details in this lawsuit are even darker than what happened to Thomas. It all traces back to Kawhi's days with the Spurs. San Antonio traded up to draft him, an unusual move for them, but they believed in his potential. No one expected him to go from a 25% three-point shooter in college to shooting 44% in the NBA, or to become a back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year, nearly winning MVP and becoming the one defender LeBron James visibly struggled against during the 2013 Finals. Yet, despite his growth, injuries began to plague Kawhi, potentially linked to the very treatments mentioned in this lawsuit. Kawhi's injury troubles began with a sprained ankle before Zaza Pachulia undercut him in the 2017 playoffs, leading to a 25-point blown lead for the Spurs and ultimately a series sweep. By the next preseason, he was out with an unexpected quadriceps issue, unrelated to his ankle injury, sidelining him for the first 27 games. What complicated matters was that Kawhi wasn't receiving treatment from the Spurs medical team. Instead, he was working with his personal crew, separate from the organization. This secrecy stirred frustration among his teammates, eventually leading to a players-only meeting where they confronted Kawhi directly. It had become clear that Kawhi Leonard was no longer committed to the Spurs, especially after Tony Parker publicly stated, "I would have come back if my injury was 100 times worse than this." This comment sparked speculation, and ESPN reported on the alleged conflict between Kawhi and the Spurs. The report revealed that 1 month before Kawhi's injury, the Spurs had actually handed control of his rehab over to his own team, which meant he was receiving treatment from doctors in New York, including a Sixers team doctor. The Spurs grew increasingly anxious, even sending their own doctors to New York, but Kawhi avoided them by slipping out the back door. During the playoffs, with the Spurs fighting hard, Kawhi didn't even show up to support his team, making it obvious he wouldn't be returning. Though Kawhi never fully addressed the situation, his uncle Dennis shared, "Sometimes you get these team doctors telling you what you can and cannot do if they don't believe him." After that, the relationship was beyond repair. The Spurs felt Kawhi was healthy enough to play, but Kawhi disagreed, and that was the end. How does this tie into his time with the Clippers? After winning a championship with Toronto while playing through an injury, Kawhi joined the Clippers. But his trainer, Randy Shelton, who'd been with him since college, became involved in controversy. According to the lawsuit, the Clippers initially brought Shelton in, but soon clashed over Kawhi's injury management. In a meeting with Shelton and their own doctor, the Clippers chose to follow their doctor's advice to accelerate Kawhi's return, a situation reminiscent of Isaiah Thomas's experience with the Celtics. The lawsuit also highlights a 2022 MRI revealing cartilage damage in Kawhi Leonard's knee. Instead of allowing ample time for a full recovery, the Clippers opted for biologic treatments aimed at temporarily managing the issue rather than offering a permanent solution. This decision sparked rumors of illegal treatments, though the specifics of what was illegal remain unclear. Dr. Brian Sutterer, a respected sports doctor, raised doubts about the case, particularly questioning the lengthy 730-day recovery period. He pointed out that other NBA players with similar ACL injuries, like Jamal Murray, were back in action within 18 months, and Zach LaVine made a quick return in just 11 months without complications. Dr. Sutterer acknowledged that Kawhi's wish for 2 years of recovery time might be reasonable, but pushing for 3 years or more could be excessive. Regarding the alleged illegal treatments, Dr. Sutterer speculated that these could involve unapproved procedures, possibly similar to treatments athletes like Kobe Bryant sought overseas. While this sounds concerning, it could also reflect a larger clash between the trainer, who likely wanted Kawhi to rest and recover properly, and the Clippers, who were eager to get him back on the court. This tension between long-term health and short-term success may have played a significant role in Kawhi's ongoing injury struggles. Basketball is brutal, especially when injuries start adding up, and Kawhi Leonard's story really highlights this. Over time, once injuries start piling up, it's hard to stay fully healthy. More rest doesn't necessarily fix everything. Just look at the recent debate around Kawhi's ACL recovery. His trainer, Randy Shelton, pushed for a full 2-year recovery, but the Clippers brought in a knee surgeon to speed things up. Now here's the question: who would you trust more? A personal trainer or a top knee surgeon who deals with these injuries every day? If the Clippers made any mistake, was it really pushing him too hard? The Clippers gave Kawhi so much rest that it ultimately forced the NBA to create a new rule. Now every player has to play a minimum of 65 games to qualify for awards, partly due to Kawhi's frequent absences. So, the idea that the Clippers pressured him too much doesn't hold up. This isn't another Isaiah Thomas Celtics situation. It's uniquely a Kawhi issue. Year after year, team after team, we see this pattern. It also raises questions about the Spurs and whether they were unfair in how they handled Kawhi, or if maybe Kawhi's own team struggles to accept that he's injury-prone. His body, despite the rest, just doesn't hold up as well as others. And sure, Kawhi is highly protective of his health and cautious about how teams handle his injuries. He fears teams might ruin his body if they're too aggressive. But in reality, teams seem to have been overly careful with him. That brings us to the current lawsuit, which could uncover a lot of interesting details about Kawhi's career through the discovery process. It could reveal what Kawhi and his camp have been dealing with all this time. There is, however, one significant allegation in the lawsuit. The Clippers reportedly failed to diagnose a concussion for Kawhi at one point, which is indeed serious. But here's the problem. Many people will read the lawsuit's headline and think, wow, the Clippers are terrible. How could they treat a player like this? When in reality, Kawhi's camp seems to place the blame for his injuries on every team he's played for. But is it really the team's fault? Or is it just that Kawhi's body can't keep up no matter how much rest he gets? On a brighter note, let's shift to some positive NBA news. The Warriors are actually looking decent so far this season. It's still early, and while Steph Curry recently tweaked his ankle, the team's new additions are fitting in well. But there's also some drama with Jonathan Kuminga not getting a new contract yet. And from what we've seen, maybe there's a reason for that. Our video is ending now. What do you think about the latest revelations regarding Kawhi Leonard's health struggles? Do you believe the truth behind his injuries will change the way we view his career? We're eager to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed our deep dive into Kawhi's story, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more exciting content. Thanks for watching.
So he left Sunday's game, Kawhi did, with a groin injury. We're going to wait and see. The Clippers are going on a road trip. 4 of their next 5 are on the road.